Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very accomplished individual from the world of cinema, writing, and filmmaking from Gurgaon, India. He's my neighbor, also lives in Mumbai, Mr. Takesh Singh. Takesh, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure being here.
Thank you.
And even before you say anything to me, I just want to say you're doing some amazing work, and I'm looking forward to reading all your books as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Takesh is a public speaking and camera facing coach. He's an actor, a filmmaker, and a voiceover artist. He's the founder of T Junction Media, and he has acted in several movies, OTT, and TV series and ads. Some of the prominent ones being the Tashkent Files, Manto, Selection Day, Ye Ballet, Bombay Begums, and many, many more. He has also directed multiple ads and a series of short films. So, Takesh, I haven't spoken to too many people from the media and the film world, but tell me a little bit about your own journey in the media and entertainment industry over the past 2 decades.
Sure. So, whenever I meet people, I always say, and it's a true story, that I was meant to be born on Mahatma Gandhi's birthday,
Oh,
but
wow.
I ended up coming into this world on Amitabh Bachchan's birthday,
Hmm.
and somewhere that wrote the trajectory for my life.
Hmm.
So I've always been very captivated with the visual medium right from a very young age.
Hmm.
So my parents tell me that at the age of 4, I used to not let them watch TV at all. There was a movie called Bobby
Hmm.
with Rishi Kapoor and Dimple Kapadia,
Yeah.
and I used to block the TV. I used to put my hands up like this
Hmm.
while they were watching. And since then, since the age of 11, I actually knew that this is what I want to do.
Hmm.
Movies, visuals, Amitabh Bachchan films, film dialogues, they took me to a different world, They always say that in the world, there are two types of people: somebody who relates to colors and certain people who relate to numbers.
Hmm.
I've always related to colors. I'm
Amazing.
somebody who could never hack numbers.
Hmm.
And since then, my mother, she really helped me. She put me and encouraged me into doing elocution, into doing debating. So I've done a lot of stage when I was in my school days. Then I studied acting professionally while doing my Bachelor's of Commerce in Australia.
Hmm.
And I came to Bombay about over 20 years ago. And I said, I want to try my luck in the movies.
Hmm.
Knew nobody
Hmm.
and started going around meeting people. And it was difficult to get a appointment with anyone. Used to pick up the phone, used to dial somebody. People used to say, oh, you come to our office, you drop your pictures, and we'll see what happens.
Hmm.
Or you call the gentleman after 5 o'clock in the evening, and if the person is in the office, they'll meet you. And of
Hmm.
course, it never happened.
Hmm.
So I was advised to join the film industry because I'd done a degree in marketing and finance.
Hmm.
So I started working in the industry and doing theater on the side.
Hmm.
And then I used to run away from the office at 5:50 in the evening, take the fast train from Chutney Road to Andheri East, where my
Hmm.
rehearsals were happening,
Hmm.
and do my theater rehearsals.
Wow.
And through that entire journey, people started seeing me on stage.
Hmm.
And once that happened, I started getting a few ads. But I've always maintained I was acting and keeping a source of income alive. I was
Hmm.
always working because I always felt it was very important. Because let's be honest, you can't live on love and fresh air.
Correct. Correct.
No?
Great response. And as they say, the rest is history, right? Wonderful. So, Takesh, we want to speak about two or three different segments in our conversation. And, when I was preparing myself to speak to you, the first thing that really came up was acting and filmmaking. Most of us are great fans of Bollywood, and I'm a great fan of the OTT series and so on. You have acted in several notable films and series like the Tashkent Files, Bombay Begums, and many more. And I've seen both these. Which role do you think has been the most memorable for you and why?
So I have like Tashkent Files is a very interesting story. The
Correct.
role came to me literally the night before the shoot.
Okay.
I got a call from the casting director, and the casting director, a gentleman called Taran Bajaj, he calls me Paji. Singh Paji, ek role hai, aap karoge? I said,
Hmm.
what is it? He said, it's Tashkent Files, it's this reporter. And I really went with no expectations. I was given the script on set,
Hmm.
and the director and I really got on really well.
Hmm.
And he allowed me to play the character the way I wanted to.
Hmm.
He's saying, listen, this is your moment, do what you want. So I ended up playing this entire scene. I was playing this reporter who's trying to antagonize the person I'm interviewing to get some answers out of her. and that went out really well. And then he suddenly gave me a series of other scenes because he really liked what I did.
Mm.
And I ended up doing 6 or 7 other major important scenes in the film. And he liked
Mm.
me so much that he made me the voice of the narrator of the film. He got me into the
Yeah.
voiceover studio once the film
Mhm.
was done,
Mhm.
and I've done the voiceover for the film also.
Wow.
So
Wow.
so that was extremely exciting. And another role which is very close to my heart is a movie called Mantu.
Mhm.
Mantu was based on the life of an author called
Mhm.
Sadat Hasan Mantu, but I played a character called Rajinder Singh Bedi.
Mhm.
So Rajinder Singh Bedi was actually a real life. He was an author. He was a playwright. He's
Mhm.
done a lot of films. He's written a lot of films. He directed. So the opportunity to play a real person, that was extremely exciting to do.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So, Takesh, tell me, when you are given a script, like in Tashkent Files, you were told on the set and you quickly were able to think through how you wanted to handle that character. When you're given time, how do you prepare yourself for delivering such long scripts and how do you memorize all these lines?
See, the word memorization is something which I stay far away from.
Mm.
And memorization was great in our school days when we used to ratta maro and we
Mm.
used to pass our exam.
Mm.
But when taking on a character, the key is to truly internalize
Correct.
and truly make that character your own.
Mm.
So what I do is I always ask either the casting person or
Mm.
try and get as much information about the background of the character.
Mm.
What is the history? What is the director thought of?
Mm.
What kind of clothes does the person wear?
Mm.
And sometimes when you don't have that much information, you build your own character in your own mind
Mm.
and you come up with something.
Mm.
Then when I have a lot of lines, I first understand the subtext of every scene.
Mm.
But acting is not only about one person.
Mm.
Acting is always about reacting.
Correct.
And there are two people in a scene. When you read a script, you see there is a screenplay which is given.
Mm.
A screenplay is giving you a certain direction. It says the other character goes, for example, picks up a glass and throws it.
Mm.
Okay. Just for example.
Mm.
And you think, okay, this person is angry. What is
Mm.
the reason? You read between the lines. You understand the motivation.
Mm.
So I strongly believe as an actor, I write as well. I
Correct.
make films as well. And
Mm.
my filmmaking training and everything that I've done in that helps me understand an actor that much better.
Mm. Well
Have
said.
much information and then write your dialogues.
Mm.
Don't randomly just mug up everything.
Correct.
Really
Correct.
make the character your own. Say it in
Mm.
words that you're comfortable with. And
Amazing.
especially when a director allows you to improvise.
Very
That
well
really
said.
helps.
Very well said. You also had an opportunity to work on an international film like One Night with the King. What was it like to work with very, very mega stars like Omar Sharif and Peter O'Toole?
So that is actually an experience I will always treasure.
Hmm.
More than working with them, my biggest high was drinking vodka with Mr. Omar Sharif on the lawns of the Umaid Bhavan Palace,
Wow.
Jodhpur. And these were the vodkas he bought for everyone.
Hmm.
And we sat, we spoke about life. I shared a makeup trailer with him. He was a very, very, very jovial man.
Hmm.
And I obviously, when I was growing up, all I knew about Omar Sharif was, oh, Lawrence of Arabia,
Hmm.
films like that. But then I got to know that he's actually a national level bridge champion.
Oh, really?
And he
Okay.
played, yeah, and he played bridge on an international level.
Hmm.
So many facets to discuss. And
Correct.
just watching these people, these
Hmm.
legends at work,
Hmm.
that is another feeling.
Absolutely.
Plus,
Absolutely.
being on a Hollywood set and seeing
Hmm.
that energy, seeing the way they stick to time, seeing the way they actually, function,
Hmm.
that's eye-opening.
Amazing. Amazing. And yet, on the other side, you were also part of an award-winning project like Kan Kajura Tesan. What was it like to be a part of such a different film which won awards?
So Kan Kajura Tesan is not really a film as such. It was a mobile campaign
Hmm.
run by Unilever.
Hmm.
So as I said, I've always worked and acted on the side and done different things.
Hmm.
So I used to lead content for an agency called the Omnicom Media Group.
Hmm.
So Kan Kajura Tesan was a innovation for Unilever.
Hmm.
So what they found was that there is something which is called the media dark markets. Media dark markets of UP, Bihar, and Jharkhand. And these were the markets where they only got electricity for 2 hours in the day. So there was no TV, there's no radio. So what does a person do in those 2 hours? Uses their mobile phone. And in those 2 hours, the only thing that was allowed for these people, because of the electricity situation, was their mobile phone was charged to full. So if there's no other way to reach them through advertising, we came up with a very innovative concept called a missed call. If you remember 10, 15 years ago, everyone in India used to say, give me a missed call.
Correct.
Yeah. So there was a number 1-800 30,000 123. In Hindi, 1830,123 missed call जाके कर दे दुनिया रंगीन. This was the campaign. Call, you get a call back, and you listen to 25 minutes of free content. Like you have a radio station, it was mobile radio.
Yeah.
So you can listen to Bollywood songs, jokes, gossip, trivia, and within those 25 minutes, HUL used to put their ads for, oh, ponds pe ye hai. There's this for ponds, there's this for Lifebuoy, there's this for Pepsodent. These are the schemes available in the local village panchayat shop. And it was a fantastic way of advertising.
Amazing.
So I was leading content for that. And the campaign ended up winning 3 Cannes Gold Lions. So that was a high of a different level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Takesh, now let's move to another aspect of your work. And, you're a public speaking and a coaching professional. And I loved what you said about camera facing coach. My first question is, what are some of the common fears people face when they get onto a stage, and how do you help people overcome these?
See, I believe the biggest fear doesn't even come from the stage. The biggest fear comes from how we've all grown up. We have this saying in India, "Log kya kahenge?" What will people say?
Yeah.
And that has stemmed into a lot of us from a very young age, where a lot of us, our paths were decided by other people. So there's the biggest fear, the fear of being judged and the fear of failure. If I go up on stage, if I speak, if I don't sound good, what will others think? What will people think?
Correct.
So you have to help people get over that fear. I strongly say that everyone has a voice, and your voice is meant to be heard.
Correct.
So the only way of overcoming that fear is to take the first step. And if you falter, never mind, you've learned from that, get up and go back at it again. So I say very proudly, and it's something I strongly believe in. I believe I was born to do this, that my mission is to help everyone get over that fear of public speaking, and more importantly, demonstrate their most authentic self on stage when they're talking.
Well said. Well said. But, at the same time, I wanted to get your perspective, because one is getting onto a stage and the other is being in front of a camera like you are so often. Is there a difference in how you handle yourself in front of a camera and how you handle yourself on a stage?
There is a difference, but at the same time, there is also a strong similarity.
Okay.
The similarity happens because there's one word called authenticity. If you're not your most authentic self, be it on stage or be it on camera, your audience can see right through you. So you need to work on becoming your most authentic self. And the practice that comes from either talking on stage or in front of a camera is very similar. So if I need to make a speech, what are a few things I'll do? I will talk to myself in front of a mirror in terms of I will recite my speech to the mirror. I will put my mobile phone on a tripod and I will record myself. I will play it back. I will observe my body language. I will observe my engagement skills. I will observe my delivery. When you come to the camera, you need to think that you are talking to a friend at a coffee shop to come across in your most natural way. When you're on stage, you have to throw your voice. So if I'm talking to a small room, if I'm, say, in a conference room talking to 15 people, I can keep my voice very natural. It can be like people who I know, who I'm familiar with. But if I'm going up on stage and I have to throw my voice to the back of an auditorium full of 5,000 people, maybe my approach will be slightly different. But the foundations of both are similar.
Great response. And for our viewers and listeners, can you share some techniques that you teach for improving stage presence and audience engagement?
I would say the first thing when you're up on stage, how do you hold your audience? You hold your audience by breaking the ice right at the start. So if you actually go on stage and you say something like an impactful quote related to the speech that you're making, or you start narrating a personal story which is relatable, the minute you put yourself in your audience's shoes, understand who your audience is, what are their demographics, what is their background, who are you talking to, and you speak the language that they resonate with. If you start telling personal stories that, if we say, for example, we spoke about Kan Kajura Tesan a short while ago. Say I'm talking about a farmer in UP, Bihar, and Jharkhand, right? Which this Kan Kajura Tesan was targeted at these markets.
Yeah.
The minute if I start telling people to imagine a farmer who's sowing some paddy, for example, 90% of the people will be able to imagine that. So you got them right there.
Correct.
Everyone eats rice. So that's something else. Bring in factors that immediately connect the dots and allow people to visualize. The power of storytelling cannot be undermined, because when you are actually speaking on stage and you're narrating a story, if you're able to tap into the visual cues and make people actually visualize every word you're saying, you've got them right at the start. And that is engaging enough.
Yeah.
And then ask questions in between, run a poll to their eyes, identify people across the auditorium, identify people at the left of the auditorium, center of the auditorium, right of the auditorium, and look.
Correct. Excellent tips. Thank you.
Importantly, smile. I think that's
you.
important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One more question related to public speaking, then I want to move to another section.
Sure.
How do you tailor your coaching sessions for different types of clients? Because corporate leaders are people who desperately want inputs on public speaking. And I've not met a single corporate leader who doesn't get butterflies in his or her stomach when they go on stage. And so how do you tailor this from corporate leaders to aspiring content creators?
So they're two different things in a way, because as a corporate leader who's constantly in the media eye, right? So when we're talking about camera facing techniques, that both for corporate leaders and for content creators, but stage presence requires people today to tell a lot of stories. So I work with my clients on storytelling skills to actually get into the pulse of your story. And as we spoke about engagement, how do you engage your audience?
Right.
Second thing, most importantly, is something which I call an elevator pitch. So if I tell somebody I'm a public speaking coach, that's not enough. But if I say I'm a public speaking coach who helps leaders and helps people get over their fear of being on stage and demonstrate their most authentic self when they're speaking, that is a complete statement.
Absolutely.
Right? So one thing I find, when we ask somebody, tell me about yourself, all they say is, hi, I'm Takesh. I'm a public speaking coach. I live in Bombay and I'm 44 years old. That's it. Or if you meet some leader, somebody might say, oh, I'm so and so. I'm the marketing head of this company. I live in Gurgaon and I work in I go to the office 5 times a week. Something of those lines. There's so much more to a person needs to come out.
Very interesting.
And when you're actually speaking and when you're meeting people for the first time, when you need to impress, you have to focus on all these things, because public speaking is a lot more than just going up on stage.
Correct.
Public speaking is there in every aspect of your life.
Absolutely right. So now I'm going to move to the last segment of our conversation, and this is for Takesh Singh personally. How do you balance your creative pursuits with the business side of running a production house?
So it's a bit of a misconception that film production is not creative. If I'm running a production house, I need to go deep into every script, not only from a perspective of saving money, because money is only part of it, but how do I bring my director's vision to life? How do I bring that story to life? What does that story need? Also, that story needs in a certain budget.
mm,
If a client gives me an X budget, I have to make sure I don't shoot that budget.
mm,
But if I don't understand the if I don't understand what filmmaking entails, then there's no way I can make that project happen.
mm,
So you actually see the state of the film industry today.
mm.
Two types of producers.
Right.
Producers who are going all in to let the director's vision come to life,
Mm,
who are doing everything despite budget constraints. And then there's other people who are penny wise, pound foolish.
right.
So when you see films which are not working, it's because they're giving money in the wrong places
Mm,
and putting their creative mind where they really should. How do
mm,
you tell a story in the right way? Be
mm,
it a producer or be it a director
mm,
or you get an actor.
mm,
One thing is at the helm of all of it, which is storytelling.
mm.
How do you translate that story onto the big screen or onto the small screen,
Yeah,
whatever you want to say? So creativity cannot be ignored.
absolutely. And yet, based on the last 20, 25 minutes of conversation with you, I'm very impressed with your determination or drive to continuously explore more and more aspects of yourself. What is the motivation behind this drive to do so many different things and keep on pushing yourself?
One word I put it down to.
Hmm.
That word is magic.
Okay.
So there is magic in taking on a character
Hmm.
as an actor.
Hmm.
There is magic in making a story come alive
Hmm.
as a filmmaker. And there's magic in helping somebody who was scared to speak in public bring
Hmm.
out their most authentic self on stage.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think magic is what joins the dots for me.
Very interesting. Takesh, I have time for two more questions.
Sure, please.
How do you stay relevant in an industry that is constantly evolving? And I'm talking of not just movies, but there's a web series that has gone into different kinds of OTT platforms. What do you have to keep doing as a professional to keep on evolving yourself?
One word again, which is reinvention. I have
Hmm.
to keep reinventing the wheel.
Hmm.
So in today's world, and 5 years ago, the industry was very different. In today's world, the world has changed. Social media, personal branding has become extremely important. Today, even casting is done basis a person's social media following.
Hmm.
So a lot of that is happening. So if I need to keep myself relevant as an actor, if I
Hmm.
need to keep myself relevant as a filmmaker,
Hmm.
one, I need to keep putting my work out there. I need to put my thoughts out there. We spoke about an elevator pitch
Yeah.
for leaders,
Yeah.
right? Today, as an actor, people are not just casting me because they know me or because I look a particular way.
Hmm.
What else am I bringing to the table?
Hmm.
What are my interests? Do I pursue any hobbies?
Hmm.
What kind of food do I like? So today, everyone is seeing others' social media profile.
Hmm.
Every actor or every creative person needs to look at themselves as a personal brand, needs to look at themselves as something that I term a creative entrepreneur.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
have an entrepreneur, but then there should be somebody who's also a creative entrepreneur.
Hmm.
How do you keep yourself relevant in that sphere of things? How do you keep putting yourself out there? And also importantly, today acting and the film industry is a lot more than just Bombay.
Correct.
Social media has been a boon and a curse for
Hmm.
people.
Hmm.
But I think the beauty is today there is something called a casting director. And if you want to reach a casting director, you can just write to them. Their social media pages are everywhere. You can send your pictures to them. And if you want to act, you send a 2 minute introductory video about yourself.
Hmm.
That is your calling card
Okay.
to get into the business.
Hmm.
So you
Very
have to
interesting.
be at it. You have to be
Very
at
interesting.
it.
Absolutely. And my last question to you, Takesh, the the stars of behind the camera for people from outside are always glittering, and yet a lot of people aspire to get into the industry. What advice would you have for someone who's looking to start a career in this business especially as in you have seen for almost 2 decades, lots of successes.
But I've seen lots of successes as well as a lot of failures.
I'm sure.
I've,
I'm sure.
I have fallen many times. And I
Mm,
think the key is you have to have your wits about you
mm.
and you have to be mentally strong.
Yeah.
Mental strength is something that you cannot ignore.
Yeah.
Things are things in the industry in today's world are difficult, but at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity
Mhm.
because of the multiple platforms available today
Correct.
to showcase your talent.
Correct. Correct.
So constantly work on yourself, constantly attend acting workshops,
Mhm.
do theater. I see a lot of people in Bombay who are obsessed with their bodies in the gym.
Mm,
While there's nothing wrong in spending time in the gym to keep yourself fit,
mm.
being mentally fit is something which you cannot undermine.
Correct.
And today we are in a world where having a growth mindset is integral.
Mm,
Keep upskilling yourself, not only as an actor, learn everything about acting, but learn different accents,
mm.
learn different, you know, we in India, we have so many different languages,
Correct.
different language, learn a dialect,
Mm,
theater, work behind the scenes,
mm.
assist directors as an assistant director. You will learn so much about acting through that as well.
Correct. Correct.
Keep working.
Mm,
Don't keep waiting for that, oh, my time will come, my golden break will come. And don't let your mind go to sleep.
mm. Very powerful thoughts. And on that note, and your amazing thoughts for young entrants, which is have your wits about you, and more importantly, have the mental strength to be able to face. In fact, that is not just the film industry, but any career in the world.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Takesh, for speaking to me about your own amazing journey. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so much, sir.
speaking to me about so many different aspects of acting and filmmaking. I loved what you told me about the Tashkent Files. I loved how you spoke about your vodka with Omar Sharif and some interesting episodes. Thank you also for some amazing tips about public speaking and coaching. Most of us do have a fear of sitting in front of a camera or going on stage and talking, but your thoughts are very interesting. And finally, thank you for sharing some very interesting personal insights and your own philosophy. Thank you
Thank
for
you so
speaking
much.
to me and good luck to you.
Pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.